Hey gang, welcome once again to another episode of Q the A podcast, where we question the answers and answer the questions of things that we may or may not have once decided to question or answer, or at least temporarily. I am one of your two hosts. I am Eon K. Grissom.
I'm Dookie Royale, and today we're going to welcome to the show Chef BeLive, or
Hey,
Brian James Lucas, as he's otherwise known. He's a world-leading pioneer of gourmet raw food cuisine.
Nice. Woo-hoo!
He lives up to his rock star reputation and was voted 2010 Gourmet Raw Food Chef internationally.
Oh
Placed
man,
second this
wow.
year. Yeah, man. So
Hey, I just
BeLive-
noticed he's got some. What's on your knuckles there, Chef BeLive?
Rockstar.
Rockstar, because one of our last guests, the professional disc golf player, has the words "disc golf" tattooed on his hands, just the same.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
So
Hell
Chef
yeah.
BeLive, you live out in Southern California.
Yes, yes. Los
Right.
Angeles area primarily.
Oh, I got you. And raw food chef. How did you come across raw food, and what made you stick to it?
Bro, wow. That was it's a long question and kind of a loaded question at the same time.
Yes.
I would say that it started when I didn't even really know about it or think about it when I got turned on to organic foods gosh, quite a few years ago, like almost 25 years ago.
Wow.
I was 20 years old, and basically, the experience part and like sticking with it, like you said, like I've like for one, I didn't even know about what raw foods was for another 7 years, and then sticking to it, like I've just done a lot of experimenting and experiencing life, like all across the globe and all across the board in general. So yeah, so like that, it's a fun way to find a way to share what I enjoy. So yeah, that would be pretty much.
So were you vegan for a number of years, and then did the raw vegan later? Is
I
that how
was
that worked?
I was raised vegetarian, and then
Oh, cool.
kind of like went. I started eating meat, then I became vegetarian again, and then became vegan. Then I got raw vegan like 7 years later, and then I did that for a while, and then I like went off of that, and then I went back onto it hard, and then I found this really awesome, amazing balance of what works for me, because I realized on the journey that there was like so many different roads and so many different ways of being, and so I found a way that works for me the best, which ends up just being right now in my life primarily like a large percentage vegan, a large percentage raw, and I really am sharing really tasteful, wild, incredibly like orgasmic food. So I really am coming from the culinary art aspect, so that
Yeah.
I can show people that you can eat something that's raw and vegan and it can taste as good and just be really creative and really beautiful at the same time. That's kind of my where I come from with like sharing gourmet raw foods.
Some of the recipes I see that you come up with are just crazy amazing. Like I watched a couple of your YouTube videos, and I tried some of the recipes at my house, and I was like, this is the most amazing stuff I've ever made. I have an entire bookshelf full of raw food books, because I'd been doing raw foods now for about 6 years or so, and right now, in the past 4 or 5 months, I've been doing like getting rice and stuff back in my diet, and it's not doing great for me. So I'll be probably hooking back up on the 100% raw thing, yeah, I think your recipes are just like out of this. They're much different than most people. Do you have any like background in culinary, or did you go to school for being a chef or anything like that?
No, I just straight up was a drug dealer before I became a chef. I didn't consider them drugs. Like it was, like what I considered spirit medicines, like cannabis and things that like open your mind and your heart up. And so I was really And the fact
So you were a shaman, actually.
I was a shaman. Yeah, definitely. I was a shaman. That's in a nutshell.
Medicine
I am.
man.
When I share raw foods, and I consider myself a raw alchemist. I consider myself a channel and a shaman with food. So, like, that being said, like, I originally was like the best customer. I had been like had a bunch of money put away from like just a lot of stuff that I was trying to like move out of, and I'd been driving a cab for a little bit,
Hmm.
and then I was like the best customer from this at the first gourmet raw food restaurant in the world by the first gourmet raw chef in the world who had the first gourmet raw chef published book. Like, I was hanging out at his restaurant in San Francisco, like for like a good year and a half or 2 years, and just hanging out with him, breaking bread, talking, smoking ganja, making food, eating food. I didn't make any, and I was just hanging out. And then one night he gets back from LA and he says, "I'm gonna close the spot. I'm gonna move to LA." And I'm like, "No." I'm like, could I buy it?" I had some money put aside, and he's like, and he told me, he's like, "Sure, and let's try it out. And if you give me this amount of money down, and then over this amount of time, pay it off, then sure, let's do it." And that was the night I opened up and actually had the download, just like the channeling and downloads I get from our food, of the name of the restaurant, which was Organica, the Living Cuisine. And so the next day I just put the chef's hat on. I don't remember ever having one lesson. Um,
Wow.
I'd watched him enough and watched the other chefs enough, I guess, without even really like knowing I was absorbing it. But it really felt like more like a channel, like a download. And like immediately I was just doing off the charts recipes, and I was gaining attention by people who were like in the raw vegan world at the time, and that's how I became one of the pioneers of the whole gourmet raw movement. But I never had any actually culinary background. But I do feel like all the spirit medicine and all of that being open, like, was my school. It always has been my school, for everything I do, from music, film, TV, all my food stuff. Like, it comes from like a download, and then it comes from within out. And by having the intention of just sharing, it comes and it gets shared. So I have like two awesome, fascinating projects going on right now because of the way I've lived in that space and that vibration. But the food, the that download for that came and was very much a calling, and it's just probably my deepest passion right now when it comes to art and sharing art. It's moving a lot more into comedy and entertaining, and sharing in a kind of more of a cinematic, like on camera and the type of form. It's showing up a lot like that recently.
Yeah.
And I know they're gonna meet in the middle, we can join together. So I'll be able to share a lot more on TV, a lot more like in different ways through multimedia, and so that's fun. That's really what excites me, with my food right now, is like how I'm getting to share it in different ways, multimedia wise.
So we might have actually jumped the gun a little bit because some of our listeners might not even know what raw foods are. You know, we talk about on this show, we talk about conspiracies and religion and metaphysical stuff and ghosts and Bigfoot even. But
Yeah.
you know, we've had one show on food.
I was listening to you guys speak on Bigfoot.
Sure.
I was literally my girlfriend Danielle. She's amazing. She's my partner, really. Like label thing. I don't know why I label.
Sure.
My homegirl. Her and I were up in where in the town, and basically the area where the Bigfoot of the Northwest hang out, for like 2 months. It was really lots of Bigfoot talk up there, and I had actually had a Bigfoot experience. It was one of the times where I wasn't on any drugs or psychedelics or anything, and it was like the type of experience where it felt like it might have been like an illusion, or might have been something that I just created but it felt like so real, and it was like a surreal experience.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had like a Bigfoot experience. Bringing up Bigfoot is quite wild.
You see him in the woods.
I saw him running, but it was like Honestly, it was like it was running between earthly dimension and into
Yeah.
another one, like passing from physical into another like non-physical, but like traveling into like then kind of almost like disappear, etheric kind of.
So
Nice.
they say that Bigfoot is an interdimensional being, and there's also Black Panthers people see. A guy was in the woods and he was at a campsite in dark, like at nighttime, and he saw a Black Panther come into his camp, just walk right in front of him. This is like in Canada or something, and that Black Panther just jumps in the air and falls into the ground. He just disappears into the ground, like he went into another dimension. And other people that talk about Bigfoot say that whenever they do see Bigfoot, there's usually UFO sightings at the same time, and then they'll follow the Bigfoot over a ridge, where they know that there's like open space, and they follow the Bigfoot around the ridge, and he's just gone. So yeah, a lot of the times they are. I mean, they could be interdimensional beings.
They're mystical.
They are. They're very, very strange. This Bigfoot phenomenon.
Hey, so Chef, you mentioned you were raised vegetarian.
Yes, so
So what's up with your where were you raised?
I was raised in about an hour east of LA in a very large Seventh-day Adventist community.
Okay.
Yep.
Seventh-day Adventists, a large percentage of them are vegetarian.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty familiar with them, especially recently. One of my buddies that I work with is he's also raised Seventh-day Adventist, and he's also vegetarian.
Yeah, that's my partner and I both were raised Seventh-day Adventists, like quite deeply like conservative Seventh-day Adventists.
Yeah, you don't meet a lot of Seventh-day Adventists that are not pretty serious about it, it seems. They're all pretty devout, pretty focused on it. He's also like a young earther, which is interesting. We have a lot of discussions about how the Earth is like 6,200 years old, I believe he estimates.
Yeah, because of the flood, right?
Yeah, just because the way the dates go down in the Bible, they just assume it lines up to be that.
It's according to the Bible for sure. I mean that's quite an interesting topic. I mean, I'm about the furthest. I can't say the furthest because I feel the spirit and the heart the most Adventists have when their conviction and their love, their joy. They're really like sweet. They really do. I mean, out of all the different types of Christians I met, there's something about them that's really warm, that like and open at the same time, even though they still really feel very set in a lot of the ways. They seem to be very open as far as listening and sharing. But yeah, by no means am I even whatsoever Seventh-day Adventist. I'd say I'm a pantheist, or like I believe in everything.
Yeah. Do they? Why exactly are they vegetarian?
It goes back to something else. They had what I would call a prophet, Ellen G. White. It was a woman, and I think it goes back to something that she
wrote,
something she practiced based on like the Hebrew, because it's similar to kosher. Like they don't eat pork, they don't eat fish unless it has scales. So it's like very similar.
Right.
So I think it had something to do with that and just the way she ate.
Now, what's interesting, of course, is that in the old story of Adam and Eve, before they sinned and the world was totally perfect, everybody was essentially raw vegan.
Yes.
All they ate was just like fresh plants. That's all, and even the animals it states, which is weird.
But now that we're sinners, Kevin. Now
that's right.
Now we can eat whatever we want because we're sinners.
Well, and potentially the forbidden fruit was meat.
Ah.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know about all of that. I do know that like if you just look back at the history of humans, there was a point in time where we were obviously eating like plants,
right?
Maybe bugs, but primarily.
But that's what's weird is we're eating plants and we're getting by, but then like somebody, I mean, it's kind of bad to like kill something if you think about it, just because you want to eat it, and when like you have alternatives to eat that don't involve killing things. And I'm, like I said, I was telling you before the show, I'm I eat meat. You know, I know it's like I basically know it's wrong. Like, and I just do it because I was raised that way, and I crave it, and I have like this darkness. I feel like it is like a darkness within me that like craves the meat. You know, it's like a perversion of some sort, but it's also like very lustful. You know what I
I,
mean?
I say to go into that as deeply as you can while you're feeling like that's the way you're being guided, because like that's kind of like I feel like that's how we all learn and grow. Like this,
Right.
because it's not going to work for you at one point. It's not going to work for you, and then you're going to do something else and absorb like all the different things and possibilities, and then just really kind of go based on how you feel. Because until you experience that in a way, in such a way that it's you really get it, then
Mm-hmm.
why would you do something different? Because like that's part of like how we evolve and how we transform
It's
is by
true.
like by our the darkness and really coming to like light with it and really recognizing it so we could balance ourselves, so we could be like because it is a balance between the seeming light and the seeming dark. So like
Sure.
feeling into the way you feel is like such a deep part of like your growth. Everyone grows at a different pace and has a different experience on their path to get to that that same goal. Everyone has different paths.
To the great white light.
Yeah, I don't. For me, like I don't want to be someone who says that this is right and this is wrong when I'm like
Right.
the creator, or I'm not this super force of God like deciding what's
Right.
right and wrong. All I know is I'm my creator and I'm a co-creator of everything that I communicate with and I
Right.
with. And I don't choose to eat other beings because of the fact that like that's how I choose. That's how I feel like
Mm-hmm.
energetically. I feel more in vibration with that.
Right.
I don't feel like judging others for doing it because I feel like that we're all evolving in different places, like I said before. And I think that if you go back far enough, like you see that we were eating plants and and we are starting to become more and more reconnected to them again and find there's a lot more people turning on to plant-based eating, and as it grows and then people influence others and it can move towards where we are eating plants again. I mean, I don't know like if the first people who started eating meat, how do we not know it wasn't out of necessity? I mean,
Sure.
like might have very well been some survival thing that
Right.
that they had to figure out a way to kill this animal to survive. And just as like I believe that would be such a part of the process of me being able to eat my raw vegan food right now, like such a big part of the like as far as evolving and experience into experience into experience that gives me the opportunity to eat how I do and share how I do. It's all because of all those animals that have died. It's all because of all of the experiences before that came to this place where now I get to experience life like this, and
Right.
and so like I don't feel like that that it was out. I feel like that it probably wasn't out of like it probably wasn't out of just like, oh, I'm going to kill an animal and eat it. It was probably much more out of a necessity, and
Sure.
and I also feel like the humans like we have because of like how much of creators we are and how much gods like us we are, that we get to invent and make all kinds of amazing things. And whether there's been all this technology from the past, ancient past, or from other forms or whatnot that exists or that we have or not, the fact is that like just based on what we can almost all of us see in the physical world on the physical dimension, this third dimension, we all can pretty much say that we are co-creating this together, and this is like something like as co-creators and as beings that are capable of creating and being inventive. Everything that comes up as a human experience when it's first experienced is amazing. Like wow, like whoa, look what we figured out what we can do. Like whoa, look at how we figured out we can do this. Oh my gosh, like it's like amazing. Whether it's something that really feels good with using for the human experience on the for the mass human experience. For how long, we don't know, because like the first time the human killed someone probably was out in a situation, or possibly was in a situation where he was defending himself, or like, whoa, look what I did, wow, awesome, whoa, I'm not dead, or something like that. And it evolved into war, and thousands of years of like all these like different, just in, bear with me, just in the third dimensional physical, what we create and know as history, and what we share more on the mass level of history, not of anything that's like potential, which is, there's so many infinite possibilities with this universe. But like right here on this third dimensional world, we created all this stuff to show us what works for us and what doesn't, and like our timeline of like, oh, we can exist in a much more environmentally like fluid and like much more health conscious, and all of this world is it's not even that crazy of an idea. Though I think that like in the past, and my ideas of how things should like change, and how much things should like shift like this into that, the fact is that over time I've realized that it's all in this perfect divine order, and that I'm getting to witness like these experiences of us as humans doing things over and over again, to seeing like that we like enjoy these things, we don't enjoy these things, and yeah, a lot of these like seemingly like negative and seemingly awful things happen, but that's also part of the chaotic energy of creation. Like every time we're born, and every single time like we wake up and we take a breath, it's all part of the chaotic energy that we live in. So as humans, we get to start figuring out like how we want to make our choices based on lots of life choices and lots of other choices like that have played out before us, and experience this moment, and how much amazing joy we can live in this moment, and how much we can share, and just keep evolving in that vibe. And it doesn't even really matter, like to me, like it doesn't matter like what else otherwise that I'm doing, because I know that at the least I'm experiencing as much joy, and when things in my life that are seemingly negative come up, I can just like, be thankful for them much quicker, and like realize that it's part of me like growing and evolving, and it becomes this really fun dance. So that's, I know I just spewed and rambled on and on and on and on and on and on, but
that's okay. I'm still gonna go after those little pesky meat eaters like Eon over there. I spent my entire weekend on a forum called Vegans versus Meat Eaters.
Oh wow!
And it was
Yeah,
glorious fun.
You sure did. I was getting a lot of updates about your postings all weekend.
Glorious fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was spending a lot of time in the flat Earth versus non-flat Earth discussion boards this weekend.
How many people were in the flat Earth discussion board?
Oh, the flat Earth thing. Well, it was pretty big there for a few weeks, but it kind of seems like it's dying down a little bit. There was this big wave of flat Earth information, and it's out there, man. If you search it, we're gonna do a show about it pretty soon. From what I can tell, you got three groups of people. You got people who really believe that the Earth is flat, and they've got a lot of what they say science to back that up. Then you got people who aren't necessarily believe the world's flat, but they're not totally convinced of the sphere model, like they're like, yeah, I've seen your globe and I've heard your science, but I can't see the ball, you know what I mean?
I've never been in space.
And then you got people who are trolls who pretend to be flat earthers, who just make a mockery and they mess with people and they put out stupid evidence to make them look dumb. But there's actually some pretty intelligent flat earth stuff out there that I've been pretty impressed with, and I can't say I have to say I'm in the middle camp now. I'm agnostic. I don't know.
Yeah, until you get the SpaceX flight into space, you really won't know.
Until I go up and look down at it, I mean, I can, people can show me fancy equations. They can tell me what some smart scientist says, but those to me are not ways to verify truth. Like, I need to see it with my own eyes. You know what I mean?
I'm working on a couple people in those groups to get them to come on the podcast, so we're going to see if we can get a good expert on the show.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah. So we'll see how it goes. We're trying to get an episode, yeah. And what I like about it is it spawns a lot of interesting discussion just when you talk to people about flat Earth. Now, I've also found it's weird if you bring up flat Earth to some people, they get like angry, like it's almost like a blasphemous idea. That you would like dare question known facts, and they act like we're making humanity go backwards with this ridiculous ignorance. And like, to me though, it's a great expression of just like questioning authority and like questioning what information we are being given. Like, you know, I don't know Carl Sagan. He could be an actor for all I know. I never met the guy, you know. Seriously. He's not like, it's like if you question Carl Sagan, it's like questioning the Pope to a Catholic. Like, they get really upset, and it's like a fairly blasphemous, you know, even the fact that you're questioning these people. So I love that, though. I love to question the official factual authority, you know, and just say, like, when I first discovered flat Earth theory, like, I was excited because I didn't even realize I was allowed to question something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, you're allowed to question this. This is amazing, you know.
Yeah, and then you start getting into like, oh yeah, the people, flat Earth people like to say, oh, it's the globe is being thrust on us, like this. You go to school, there's a globe there.
Yeah.
You go to church, there's a globe in
Yeah.
there. You see
Brainwashing.
You see a map, it's like a flattened out globe, and they're saying that you're getting brainwashed. Yeah,
and they never show you the actual. There is a flat Earth map that you never see. But when you see it, it's like, huh, that's kind of interesting, you know.
Well, I'm curious about, as far as the flat Earth part, like what would the theory of the sun rising and the sun setting, as far as like
right?
Like,
yeah. So they show it. You need to just look up some of these videos because it's like I can't even explain it without you seeing it. But they basically are like going around like hands on a clock. Is one of the theories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, they have explanations for gravity, and they have explanations for what's beyond the wall. Like, they think that we're in this ice wall. There's like a puddle theory, where like aliens.
They think we're inside of a dome.
Right.
A lot of them. It's basically the Truman Show. If you've seen that movie, it's like a larger scale Truman Show.
I love it.
And they believe, a lot of them are like Christian or religious, and they believe that it's the creation that God created, and like the devil essentially is hiding the fact that we are in a dome, like a terrarium, you know, and they're lying to us about space, and then they talk about like the extraterrestrial, you know, this like fake agenda that they talk about these beings, but they're really like demons. Like, it gets into some weird internet stuff. Anyway, we're going to do a whole episode about it.
It's pretty fun.
I love it. It sounds
It's far
great.
out. There's also hollow Earth theory, which is totally different, but also crazy. There's like they say there's like a whole Earth inside of our Earth or something like that. Or maybe that's what it is, Dookie Royale. Maybe we're not in a dome. Maybe we are the inner Earth.
We're in the inner Earth, yeah. I have a subscription to Gaia TV, which used to be Gaiam.
Yeah.
On the Gaiam network, and they have some really good inner Earth shows on that with David Wilcock. If anybody knows who he is.
Oh yeah, David Wilcock. He claims to be the reincarnation of Edgar Cayce.
Yeah.
Yep, he does. My friend of mine dated him for a while.
Oh, no shit.
Nice. Hey, that's good. You got any juicy stories about David Wilcock?
Nope, but I'd probably get some if I hung out with her a little more.
Man, we should try to let's use that connection to get to David Wilcock.
We're 3 degrees of separation from David Wilcock.
I think they're still on good terms.
Nice. Hey, I'm going to do this segment here. What is Eon K. Grissom drinking this week? This episode, I'm drinking 2 beers. I've got the Cadence Reformed Belgian Ale. It's a double Belgian ale, brewed right near my house in Woodstock, Georgia. It's a little microbrewery, started in 2013. Delicious stuff. And then we also got the Hoegaarden, an original Belgian wheat beer.
What'd you call me?
It's brewed the same since 1445.
Hoegaarden.
Hoegaarden. And it's a delicious
Sounds like
beer.
a garden that I hang out in a lot.
The Gardenia. The Gardenia. So, and then one of these days when we end Prohibition, I'll announce what type of herbs I'm smoking this week. But for now, we just have to talk about the beer.
And then I'll be there with you.
There you go. Yeah, we can meet up.
Yeah, once it's legal. Come on.
Yeah, once it's legal, because I'm holding out to try it.
We can all come
waiting
out.
for it to become legal so I can finally try marijuana.
Me too. I've been waiting for a long time.
God, I can't wait.
Soon.
So we didn't actually answer the question of what is raw foods.
What? Okay, I'm the dumb meat eater. So
You
what do
need
you
to
mean,
know.
man? You guys just like eat plants and don't cook them and stuff, or
Eat
what?
salads all day?
Yeah, you just eat like salads and leaves and stuff.
Sure.
Twigs and berries?
Yeah, you know, like that's the simple way to do it, and then you can get very complex, and you can make fake meats, and you can make all kinds of different recipes that you've actually had and that you're accustomed to, that are made from plant-based and that are actually raw as well. So you can have the simple, you can have the most complex. There's a big range. And what raw foods really is basically, when it comes to plant-based, vegan raw food, it's when you eat living fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds that are fresh or never heated up over 118 degrees. That's the enzymes die in the plants, nuts, seeds, and fruit and vegetables. Did I say fruits? All of it. And any plant.
Right.
And so you keep the enzymes alive and so basically it helps them digest better. That's the actual, as far as like the gist, the minor explanation of what raw foods is. That's basically
right.
Fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds is basically what we say.
So nuts, are they still like alive, or they just kind of, were they ever alive, like a plant was?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like it was part of the plant, so it was alive as it was a part of the plant. And then it's still alive until actually it's still alive unless it gets cooked out, because if it dries, even if it dries out under 118 degrees, which usually is when it's being sun-dried, it is still enzymatic, it's still alive in a sense as well. And as far as being alive as part of the plant, no, it's not part of the plant at that point, but it's still, as long as it's not molding and rotting and it's still alive and full of its enzymes and ready to be digested. And yeah, all plants, nuts, and seeds have that. And with nuts and seeds, basically we take the raw nuts and seeds and we soak them in water, and that activates them, so that actually starts life in them, so that they can start growing as a plant. And so we'll like most of us raw food chefs out there will activate, start the germinating, sprouting process, and then use those nuts and seeds to prepare our food with.
Now, are there like techniques to take like raw food that's uncooked and make it kind of simulate like a cooked type feel?
Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I specialize. I mean, if I served you lasagna and I just brought it out to you at the table and you didn't really even know how I prepared it and whatnot, I've created lasagna that I can actually bring into someone on table, and there's melted cheese in it. It's warm on it. It's warm, layered. It's lasagna, and then the layers of the mock meat. When I say mock, I mean fake. Like I'll make like fake ground beef with seeds and sun-dried tomato and spices and whatnot, and really get to taste a lot like meat.
Yeah, and the texture kind of similar.
Texture similar. I make a ricotta cheese out of cashew macadamia, which is really, really similar after I culture it to and so I do these layers. So you eat it warm, it's like, whoa! Like most people are like, what the heck? Like this vegan? Wow. So,
I mean, I guess you can never fully like simulate that chewiness that meat has, but you can make it so somebody would be like, yeah, this is good. I want to keep eating more of this, right?
Absolutely, because most of us really are. Most of us out there that eat in society want the flavor more than anything. Texture have something to do with it. Don't get me wrong, for sure. but it really is more on the flavor base. That's the bigger reason. And
Tried to simulate umami.
umami, yeah, like it's just getting that feeling, that flavor of umami is like, I mean, you can't. It's a feeling really more than a flavor. You know?
You know what I've
So
noticed?
it is.
I've noticed with raw foods is that you know I've tried a whole bunch of like raw cheeses to try to mimic the same cheese or like a raw seitan kind of
Seitan.
seitan. It's like a vegan protein, but
It's like
you know, the thing is with raw foods and vegan foods, usually there's no MSG, like this flavor enhancer. You know, there's not a lot of the stuff that you'll eat at like say a TGI Fridays is just loaded with like MSG and all this crap to make it taste a lot better, or theoretically taste a lot better. But in raw foods, yeah, nobody's adding MSG and flavor enhancers to their stuff, so you're not going to have that like brain explosion, you know, that they've seen in CAT scans, where people like take a bite of something with MSG and their brain just like fires on all cylinders because of that satiation, that food that they like. So it's very hard to attain that.
I feel with raw foods, like when you make something that's like high energy, which is alive, which has energy in it and it's full of it, and you take that along with really amazing flavors and you combine them, then it really does give you that feeling, like you get like this, like whoa, like elevated, kind of like almost like what a high would feel like very similar, like with lots of energy. I've experienced it many times, and I've had many people who have eaten my food experience. I feel like it's a metaphysical, like a holistic thing for me. It's not just like what I'm combining together. I feel like it has a lot to do with the energy that I share, the way I share, and where I'm coming from, even as much as the flavor profiles and the combinations I'm doing.
So you're doing like, it's like food yoga.
Yeah, it's like food alchemy. It's like raw alchemy. It's food yoga. It's ninja food ninja. Like,
so I had this weird experience. Not really. I don't know if weird's not the right word. It was kind of amazing, but I was like cutting up a bunch of produce, and I think I was cutting up peaches at the time. But it's like I just had like this realization, like epiphany moment, almost like a vision that this thing was made of like light.
Yeah.
If you take a Carillion photography camera, like there's Carillion photography, you can take pictures of things, and it'll show the energy that's coming off of it, and you'll see the difference between something that's like actually alive and something that doesn't have life in it, and you'll see that it's true. Like you'll see the light the energy coming off of it. It's like massive. Whereas if you put a grain of wild rice, you know, once it's been soaked, raw wild rice, and then a grain of cooked rice, and you take a picture of them with that, you'll see that there's nothing coming off the cooked, and there's like all this energy coming off the raw.
Yeah.
I think it's just, and it's kind of obvious that like things that are alive or that have energy.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's kind of almost like basic, like obvious if you think about it. I mean, it's just alive. Now, what about this thing where they're like the plants are like feeling pain or something? I've seen some kind of science behind that. Have you ever heard that? Like that they have feelings and that we're murdering the plants?
My personal feeling with that is that kind of along the same lines of what I was speaking about before with how we're growing and how we're evolving on this planet together with the animals, with all those different types of humans, is that we're going through these different experiences to figure out what works for, like, and it's all symbiotic. So we're eating animals right now because we feel like we have to, or because that's a part of the humans being able to exist, or whether we're eating plants because of that. I feel like there's kind of this symbiotic kind of agreement we've made that like it's kind of that we're supporting each other in a sense. So I feel every time I eat a plant, I like put my like intention, just like as someone was to, like, even if I don't do it physically, like what I'm accepting and receiving in gratitude for like what I'm eating, whatever it is. not plant. Like it's like coming from that same place, and that's what I feel personally.
Okay, so it's like you're like, yeah, kind of like thanking it for
I
its
thought, yeah,
its
because it was
service.
alive, because it is
Sure.
a living being, and how am I to, who am I to say that taking that life is any different than taking another life,
Hmm.
animal or any other being's life, for my own for my own benefit, seemingly, you know,
Sure.
so.
Yeah, there's a movie you can watch on YouTube or Netflix right now called The Secret World of Plants. It's from the 70s. It has Stevie Wonder in it, and
Nice.
it talks about how this scientist had I can't remember the entire story behind it, but I know that at one point he's studying what is it broccoli sprouts, or what are they called? Um,
Broccolini.
Broccolini.
maybe no, Brussels sprouts, right? So they grow on a stem, and they grow
Yeah.
like off the stem, and these. So he went in there, and there was two plants, and he cut the Brussels sprouts off one of them, and then went out of the room. And so he had his diodes hooked up to them, electric signals hooked up to them. And when he came back in the room, the other plant knew that it was him that had destroyed the other plant, that had killed the other plant. It started going berserk. Like the plant started reacting to this guy being in the room. And so
Which
he left the room and sent an assistant in. And the assistant came in and no reaction. She
makes
goes
sense.
out. She goes out. He comes back in. Plant goes wild again. It's all through electrical signals. It wasn't through like it moving a Brussels sprout or anything. It wasn't like screaming out its stalk. It doesn't have that kind of communication. It was all electrical signals.
Well, I
Huh.
mean, I personally believe that's. I mean, like I said, like who's to say that a plant doesn't feel more than we do? I mean, it shows up.
Yeah.
I, I've read and some things have been shared with me about how intelligent life, high intelligent life, the plant world and like the world that like we live in is. It's like, in my opinion, it's very possible that the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom are of a higher intelligence than humans
Sure.
because of how the systems that are so intricate and so perfect in the way that they work. It's quite fascinating. So yeah, I mean, I don't have like I'm not going to judge someone for eating plants. Like I'm not going to judge someone for eating animals because that's what it's. I feel like that plants, the way that there's abundance and the way that we can create this relationship with plants. I feel like to me, I feel like it's asking me to receive it more than I feel like a cow or like an animal is asking me to receive it in that way.
Yeah.
So I go based on that myself.
And all the plants. When a plant is germinated or born or starts growing, it's all growing towards the sun. It's trying to get longer. It's trying to get back to its home, right? It's
Yep.
trying to extend the amount of light it can get into it, but it knows what it's doing. It's not. It's not just like I don't know what kind of automatic process would create a plant trying to reach up to the sun to get as high as it can to the sun. Like what kind of automatic process would do that? And logically, you would think that something like a plant or a tree does have some kind of involuntary or voluntary consciousness. Even though it's much different than what we experience. And who knows? Animals might be they might be evolved past language. They might have had a language at one point and evolved out of it, and now they just telepathically. And then, when they close their eyes, their spirit comes out of their body and they go out and explore the world, and then they come back. Who knows what they do? We don't know anything about them.
We don't
Exactly.
know. And it's like they say like the Pleiadians, who are supposed to be like much further evolved humans. They come to try to teach us stuff or whatever. They like live off of air or like light or something like that.
Like, yeah.
So it's like further evolution. And some of these like these yogis that live in the mountains live off like air and like light. And like apparently light has a lot more power than we have realized thus far. Well, I
Yep.
mean, I think essentially we're made of light. I think that's what we actually are, is light. and we can't really explain it or you can't grab it. You can't like. It's hard to grab it with your mind, that idea, but it's like it's just like consciousness is just like light.
Yeah, some people say that you can stargaze and get energy and nutrients from stargazing.
Huh.
You get your vitamin D just from stargazing.
Nice.
There's breatharians that live in caves.
Breatharian.
As we speak.
I've definitely met some breatharians, and I've heard lots of stories of people telling me they've experienced, like, that they've seen this and that in India and on the
yeah.
But
yeah, there's some crazy stuff over there going on.
Yeah, I never heard of stargazing. I've heard of sungazing, of course, like many times. I've done it. I've been breatharian for a couple of days. I realized that like I pretty much was that I chose to eat, because I realized at one point that I was able to sustain myself pretty much on nothing, and for a while, like I could do it. I could do it for a while if I wanted to, and then realized that it really was choice for me to eat, and I just love it so much. I love that experience. It's why I share in the way I do.
Yeah, I remember getting to a point with Raw Vegan where there was just like I just forget to eat. I could go. There was one time where I didn't eat an entire day, and I got up the next day and I was like, did I even eat yesterday? And I was like, because I was just like the feeling of eating, like the need to go and eat lunch and eat dinner and have snacks in between just goes away. Like you just have it's almost like you have so much nutrients in your body that you don't have the need to eat anymore, which is kind of strange. It's like a weird thing, but like your body just becomes so efficient at like breaking down food.
Yeah, I love the energy it gives you. That's what one of the biggest reasons why I eat predominantly plant-based and predominantly raw, is because how much energy it gives me, and like it just makes me. I don't get sick when I'm doing it. So
sure,
those are big things for me as far as like the way I feel. It's what drives me with it.
So, but if you ate some non-raw vegan stuff, you might feel sick, right? Pretty easily.
I went through long periods of time where I was like really hardcore dogmatic raw vegan, and then I would say that the answer would be yes at that time when I introduced something after years of not. I feel everything I eat, so I'm not like eating things that I know are gonna make me feel a specific way, and if I do eat something like that, it's gonna make me feel like that. I know it's gonna make me feel like that, and I'm ready and want the experience, which happens rarely, but it still does. I want to be living in the moment and what experiences come to me, and sometimes experience comes where I don't want to stay set in a certain way, and that goes across the board with every part of my life. And so at that point, at this point, like even though I do eat like very large percentage raw vegan, but when I eat something that's not raw vegan, I don't have those effects of what back when I was really dogmatic about it and like hardcore, and when I introduced something like or even a couple times into it, I would always have much more ill reactions. Mm-hmm. Now I do it based on energy, and it affects me, and I'm grateful for it, and I experience it like in a way that like probably not most, because most people judge themselves before they do something like that. If they're in the mindset of like being, raw vegan, they're in the mindset already of dis-ease when it comes to like even eating something outside of that, which is really weird because you usually use that term in the spiritual world for like what like your mind is creating, or what how you're letting your heart be infected and affected by something else or someone else, that you create dis-ease. Although you can create dis-ease being the healthiest eater on the planet and not being aware of like of other parts of your life and what you're creating for yourself.
So it's partially a mental game too.
Yeah, such a big part of it. It's like it's body soul. It's holistic. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. And
mine might be everything, really.
Yeah. Exactly.
It might be.
Do you remember when you first went raw? Did you have any crazy? So a lot of people out there don't know that when you first go raw, you detox like crazy. And I know that I had some pretty crazy detox things. Did you, coming from vegetarian or vegan, did you have any crazy things go on when you were detoxing?
I I don't remember a time that like I've went like high raw or 100% raw a few times for good periods of times, and I think it might have been being introduced to eating vegetarian most of my first part of my life, and then getting turned on to organic like pretty young on at like 19, 20. I didn't I never have noticed any detox effects when I went raw. Although I've met like and I've watched friends personally go through experiences of detox, being switching to a raw food or high raw diet.
Yeah.
But it's different for every person, and that's kind of why when I'm sharing and teaching others, I teach them, and I really express to really feel into your path and really like experiment and really go with what you're feeling, because like you'll be guided to doing it in a way that's more comfortable for you. I also, along with that, say take small baby steps. If a small baby step ends up being a big leap, awesome. But don't like judge yourself, or don't like just love yourself through the whole process, because what you're doing is perfect. Because you're finding the more optimal you, either way you cut it. Like when you're on that journey, when you're on that path. So I really try to share that because I do end up educating people about gourmet raw foods, but it's usually in the context of the culinary art. And within that, I share in that fashion for people as far as when they really are trying to find a new nutritional base, something different than what they've been doing. So I become a guidepost for them at that point.
I remember a couple of things that happened with me was that first of all, it took me about 20 days to like fully get through the whole rush of like hormone changes and just things like coming out of me, which is kind of weird. I had like a week of flatulence that was just ridiculous. It was just air. It didn't smell like anything. It was just like air. I don't know where all the air was coming from.
You must have went way into like, okay, I'm gonna detox, I'm gonna cleanse, I'm gonna get rid, because most of the people I know who have detox effects. I mean, I didn't. I think it was partly because of my earlier my physical experiences that I had, like from a traumatic surgery that I had. But most of the people that I know who experienced detox went 100%. I'm changing everything I'm doing from this crazy one extreme to this whole other, and so all of a sudden their body was like, okay, let's flush, attack. Ah!
That's what I did. Yeah.
Happens.
And so, and then you have like long-term detox where like 3 months down the road and 9 months down the road, other things start to happen that are all positive. There's nothing that negative that happens, but like maybe 2 or 3 months out, my hair started detoxing, which is weird. I had longer hair, like maybe down to my ears or so, and my hair started oiling up, just like, and the whole entire day, my hair was like a wet mat of oil coming out of my head. I don't know if it was my hair, maybe it was like something in my skull or something that was coming out. Who knows what it was? But I led a very opposite extreme life before that. Like drinking a lot. I smoked cigarettes for 17 years, maybe 15 years. And
did you eat a lot of fast food?
Oh God, ungodly.
Fast food and soda all the time, right?
I ate 3 meals a day. I would eat out of fast food, and then sometimes when I stopped at like let's say I went to Arby's to get like chicken fingers, I would get 2 meals of chicken fingers because it wasn't enough. And I was huge, of course. I was like extremely obese. And then,
no, you weren't.
Yeah, dude.
Give me a break. You were not extremely obese.
I'm going to send you a picture.
You might have been a little chubby. I mean, come on. No. You're American, dude. Come on. Freaking American. I mean, you weren't even American. You were like, what were you,
So-
like 220, 230?
273.
What? I must have missed this part of your life.
Yeah. So that was
Man.
2008 is when I stopped everything.
Were you wearing the husky pants?
Yeah. I had like 40-inch
You were
size pants.
husky.
I had
Man.
40 size pants.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize all that.
Yeah. And even now, I'm way less than that, but just crazy stuff. So the detox, yeah, I instantly got sick, which was kind of weird. Like people start feeling like flu-like symptoms, and everything starts coming out like out of your head. But man, I got down to 173, which for me was pretty low.
Right.
And then I leveled out at like 185 for a long time. But so, what are your thoughts? So I noticed that a lot of people now, when I first got into raw foods, there was everybody was very dogmatic about don't eat a single morsel of cooked food.
Yeah.
And I see the benefits of doing that because it makes you feel amazing every single day. But then when you get a little bit, there's a couple of people in the raw food movement who have said, oh, you can have rice and what's a little steamed rice going to hurt you? What's a little steam this or steam that? And I also noticed that a whole bunch of raw fooders started coming out and saying, a whole foods diet is actually much better for you. For someone that's coming from where maybe I did in the early 2000s. Do you think a whole foods diet for most people in the United States would be optimal?
I think that basically all of that happening is kind of like, to me, proof that how I feel about everyone has different paths and different things work for different people.
Yeah.
That just confirms it for me in a way, because I know most of those people, like personally, and
Yes.
I know where they were at. I know what I was saying. I know the extremes that so many of the different raw food educators that are out there that have kind of switched to that or even more of a mellow view on it. Most of them, a lot of them have started eating a small, at least somewhat of a small percentage of cooked food. Everyone's always evolving. Everyone's changing. If we even think that we can say that I'm going to be 100% this forever for anything, we're in this infinite universe, and how do we know that's true?
Sure.
So I feel like a whole the whole food diet is an amazing thing. I feel like people who really feel good when they're doing it, God bless you, do it. If you feel really good eating all raw, like really good, do it. If you feel good eating all meat, do it. Do what makes you feel really good. That's the most number one place, because if you're doing it from joy and from like your mental state of love and wanting to experience everything you're doing in that type of way, then even whatever you do is going to be coming from that place. However you eat. And if you are coming from that place, maybe there's ways you can feel more like that, and you might be led towards a way of eating that makes you feel more like that. So that I don't know. It's nice to see that everyone's human, and these people who were definitely preaching and teaching that, like, oh, if you do this, you're gonna die, and if you this and that. Seeing that, like, a lot of it was based on fear and or even more so, not I would say pure consciousness, but not really knowing it and not consciousness, but really more about of a experimental, co-creating space, because that's where we started reconnecting again with raw foods as a human species. Yes, we did it a long time ago, but now it's one of the newest things out there. It's one of the newest ways of eating. It's funny. I was having a conversation yesterday about how it's kind of the most ancient way of eating, and it's kind of like space food at the same time.
Yeah.
It's trippy, like the density of the nutrients, of the superfoods, the elements that where raw foods goes is like it's next level, like what I would have as a kid kind of pictured being space food. So It's fun. It's like I just like sharing it because I have so much fun with it. It makes me feel so good, and if I can inspire to anyone to just try a little bit more, so that they just sample it some and play around and learn a little bit more about it to see if it resonates with you, because then you might want to experience that in life. That might be something you want to experience for a portion of your life, maybe longer. I don't know, but it can taste it. It can be some of the most amazing tasting food you could possibly imagine. And I keep my palate, I keep my experiences. Part of my experiencing non-vegan and non-raw food is sheerly out of a place of wanting to taste and stay familiar with flavor profiles that are more of that cooked palate, because I like to create transitional recipes that can be like just people, anyone can eat and be like really inspired to like, wow, I love this, you know. And that's kind of the place where that comes from, is like by creating something that's more streamlined, more mainstream. Um, blah blah blah. There we go again. I love food. I'll talk for hours, so you've got to cut me off sometimes.
No, it's fine, man. Now, you are the rock star, right? You've worked with some celebrities, and you're out there on the YouTubes.
Celebrity.
Is there any names you can drop? Some celebrities?
Yeah, name drop.
What are celebrities?
Oh, you know.
Well, my favorite and number one celebrity has been. I've worked with quite a few. I've had the privilege of becoming like what I would even call, I would dare to say, as like the deep soulmate. I mean, my partner that I live with and journey and travel and adventure with right now, she's like, we met at a celebrity event and she was one of the stars and I was this blah blah celebrity whatever chef, and we met in those circumstances, and she's been my number one celebrity to connect with. I mean, her name is Danielle. We've for the last 3 years we spent so much time together. We started co-creating amazing things that are going to be coming out to the world, sharing with the world, that are going to feature and in some ways highlight what I do, as at the same time do the same for her, and we're just getting we're having a lot of fun playing together. I definitely before that worked doing personal chef work and private chef work for some celebrities and some very wealthy people, and
you've had some of them on your YouTube channel too, right? You've had a basketball star on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, John, and that was John Sally. He was one of the makers. He's a very big vegan advocate, and he's a friend of mine. Yeah, he came over to my house and did a video with me. That was a fun video.
And you were on Access Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah. I was on Access Hollywood for my celebrity chef culinary art.
Nice.
It's actually like that is in some ways so not true. They mentioned that I was a chef, raw food chef, but that was more based on something that I experienced with my girlfriend in the last year and a half, and it was like this huge sex scandal, like international, wild, crazy story that just really brought us a greater, deeper appreciation for ourselves, for our love. Just such an heart-opening and amazing experience that most people wouldn't even really view in that way, but we just had such an amazing roller coaster ride from. That was our Access Hollywood interview. That was from that.
I see that she was in Django Unchained.
She was. Yes, she was.
Wow. I didn't. So I did watch her video.
Creepy. I'm really creepy.
You're already creeping. I did watch her acting reel, and I noticed that I've seen her picture a lot on Facebook and with you and things like that, and I didn't really recognize who she was until I saw some of those acting clips, and I was like, oh my god, I totally remember that. Was one of them, I think one of them was Law and Order. Is that right? Like in the earlier days?
Yeah, she's been on Cold Case, like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
She's most known for the Django thing and the and being on the 8th season of Weeds. She played her last TV role. She played Martin Lawrence's daughter on a show with him and Kelsey Grammer, but it only lasted. You could watch that online actually, but it only lasted on TV for 1 season. It didn't get picked up,
Boo.
but yeah, she's such a talented, gifted entertainer. I don't even want to call her actor because she's like, I mean, I wouldn't want to call her musician. I wouldn't want to call her like theater like master. I wouldn't want to call her anything because she just takes all of it and has this in-depth, like emotional and just really, really amazing way of like bringing out like what her gifts and what she's sharing in these ways that are like masterful, like really, really, really awesome. I'm stoked to witness her art, and we're really having fun like playing with each other with the different arts that we're bringing to the world. We're entering this new territory where we're getting to co-create some really big, really fun stuff.
Co-creating. We've talked about co-creating on some of our past episodes.
Sure.
So that's an interesting topic. Hey, I got another beer. I'm gonna drink another beer here. It's the Reformation Refreshed Porter called the Stark. Here we go. I'm gonna open this up.
I better grab me a PBR.
That's how a lot of Georgians do it.
PBR.
If I'm gonna come to California and stay at a house, I think I want to stay at BeLive's house. He seems like he's got the funness going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's fun is that I don't live at a house. My girl and I we're gypsying it. We're living from place to place to place.
There you go. Even better.
So much fun.
I'll just come follow you around then.
And there you go. Yeah, we actually come to a couch bed living room near you. It's cool. We've been that whole experience with the media. It lasted over a year. It was this big, like, intense, really incredible, amazing experience. And at the end, we were like, why we ended up in Trinity, where the Bigfoots are.
Yeah.
We wanted to get off the grid for like 2 months. We went off the grid, no cell phone, no electricity, generator, electricity, no internet. And then we came back here, we basically just gave everything away except for the things that we share. Like, she has like some of her art stuff, and I have my food stuff, which is a lot of stuff, and then like my massage table and a little bit of clothes, and like getting everything away, and like pretty much like let's just let the universe support us and feel all the abundance that comes to us. And we've ended up in it's been like a month and a half now, and in the process, 2 weeks into it, we lost our car.
Wow.
It got totaled, so we're doing it now with no vehicle and a bunch of kitchen stuff, and we're ending up in some of the most amazing places and with the most amazing, incredible people, and the energy exchanges we're getting to have are like priceless. There's like none about money value, like any monetary value that can even be placed on the stuff we're experiencing. The cool thing is if I can do this in LA, I can do it anywhere in the world. I knew I could do it anywhere in the world because I've already traveled a lot and like I have like enough of a fan base and enough friends like internationally. And now I know like, oh gosh, if I can do it in LA, then I can do it all over the place. And we're not planning. We don't feel like making a home base until soon because she's going to be shooting a film in Nigeria in the future, not too distant future, and I have a couple projects that are going to probably take to Greece and different New Orleans, other places. And so my main project right now really is a TV sitcom. And I started out as a consultant, but in the end, producer, co-creator, and even actor and right now we're meeting with Russell Simmons after tomorrow privately to talk about being involved behind that, and he just wrote a book on veganism, and it's all the show is all about like everything I've lived one of the reasons why I became so involved is that when I got brought in as a consultant, they realized that, or the main writer realized that he was just writing so much stuff that was my life and like how and what I've experienced, and that how much that I could, after talking to me, how much that I could bring to the project. It just evolved to me being like one of the main, co-creators of it. And so until one of those really deeply roots us into, because we're kind of in the ethers with all of them still, that we feel really free flowing and we don't need to get a home base or even a car right now.
Russell
But
Simmons.
that's how I'm living.
Russell
Russell Simmons,
really
yeah.
came into veganism. I
Yeah,
heard a podcast with him. Can't remember. It was a wow. What show was that? Anyway, it was a really good show. It was like 2 hour long podcast that he did with one of the more famous people. Rich Rawll. Rich Rawl's is like an ultra marathon raw vegan athlete, and he interviewed Russell Simmons about that new book. And I didn't even realize he was vegan or into veganism until I heard that podcast. And man, he's super into it. He knows all the lingo. He knows all the stats. He knows everything about the environmental issues with eating meat and dairy and all that stuff. And he's ready to invest a lot of money into making that bringing that awareness to the United States.
Yeah, and we just seem to have one of the biggest vehicles ever to do that, and that's what we're meeting with him about. Tomorrow. So I'm really excited.
I just realized that Chef BeLive is actually a real celebrity because he's on TMZ. He's on freaking TMZ.
You went out did like a naked thing there for a little while, like a little while back there, Chef BeLive, didn't you?
A naked thing? I don't know about that.
Well, we're all doing the naked thing, like under our clothes right now, right? Like,
I am a nudist. So like,
yeah.
Are you a nudist?
I love my body. I definitely would rather be nude than wear clothes unless it's cold. But I mean, I love clothes. I love the style of them. I love the fashion of them. The energy of them. They're awesome. They have their time and place. But yeah, I do feel like freeing the body. I feel like society has gotten to a place where it's been really, it's like our body's been so shamed that you'll find me like the only naked person at a festival where you'd think that more naked people would be at. You'll find me naked there. But yeah, like I mean, as far as being naked on TV, I haven't seen any of that yet.
No, I saw some. I don't know how long ago it was, but I remember seeing a whole bunch of pictures of you and Danielle doing some sort of naked coming out type things. Maybe I was imagining.
Yeah, we share all kinds. We're wild and free and just like unbridled and crazy and like the way we express is very passionately through our bodies and so we do post a lot of really fun like exposing pictures on Facebook and our social media and I think some of the media that picked up the story that we were involved with, I think some of them posted some of the pictures as they were running, the endless stories about us. So
yeah. All right.
Freaking Hollywood, man. That place is crazy. I'll tell you what, my first time I ever went to Hollywood, I went down to the main strip there, and they were having the Borat Hollywood opening, and I saw freaking Borat up there singing like the Kazakhstan theme song or national anthem with all these like goats and prostitutes everywhere. It was hilarious. Freaking Borat.
Forgot all about Borat.
Borat's a legend.
He's so great. I have to say from my experience with like, I have like been in like IS ceremony, like A+ actors next to me doing ceremony. I've met a lot and connected with and become friends with some like really like the whole Hollywood scene in general, from actors to producers and directors and there's so much consciousness. There's so many people that are like open, that are like activating. It makes so much sense that that's one of the main activating points for is creating content, is that area, because there is a wide spectrum, and there's a very large amount of every different type of spectrum there. So and just there's so many amazing and really truly open, conscious people that are sharing in ways that, like, you, and a lot of them you might not even know they are, and it's really cool just to be a part of that, and to be witnessing it from the inside out. You know, I feel very blessed to feel that and to experience that, because I wouldn't be hanging out as a quote unquote celebrity chef if it wasn't for that I just really saw like what I feel and believe is a fun message to share being supported there, and it really is, and it's a process, you know, like we're all co-creating this planet together. So, like, you know, what are we choosing on the whole to be creating right now? Like, that's a lot of that comes from people who are creating things in that area. So, I mean, yeah, I've met a few celebrities and a few people in the film business and TV business that are like, that I'm just like, okay, like, I'm cool. I'm not. I'd rather not play with you right now. But a wide percentage of them have been really amazing, really cool people.
It says here you've worked for Zach Galifianakis.
He stopped by this little incubation space that I had at this spot called Source Spiritual Center, and
Yeah.
they had this spot in Venice. It was an old 100-year-old church that had previously been converted into a Hare Krishna temple for, like, I believe 30 years or so.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
I'm a fan.
And then afterwards, this friend of mine took it over and created spiritual, like a meditation center, like events, but mostly like just all kinds of different types of meditation and healing and whatnot. And down below, a friend of mine and I created a little space, and I was doing it kind of as an incubation experiment. Didn't know if it was going to last very long, but wanted to get in there and have some fun there, and create some recipes for a bigger vision that I have. And when I was there, he came in a couple times and really enjoyed my food, my cheesecakes. And I was focusing on healing elixirs, like herbal elixirs, and desserts. So a lot like specialty drinks, like there would be like elixir style or even latte style, but like herbs and amazing like superfoods and medicinal mushrooms, stuff that was like just highly activating. So he had those. I wasn't actually his personal little private chef, but I've had a lot of people who have experienced my food at events who like really loved it, that I've made, that have had my food and really and expressed that. And then there's a few that I've worked for a few celebrities and for some wealthy people as well that are in the business somewhat. So
Andy Dick.
like Keenan Wayans. Andy's a friend of
Yeah.
mine. I love Andy. Andy, like,
Yeah.
he's a big
Hey,
supporter.
have you ever met Mark Maron?
No, I haven't met Mark Maron.
Yeah. Well, he's around town.
Not
But yeah,
yet.
he was on Andy Dick, or Andy Dick was on Mark Maron not too long ago.
I haven't met him yet, but you know, the stars might align.
So tell me about your fun with Matthew Silver.
Oh my gosh, that was inspired. Like, both Danielle and I had become fans like over the last couple of years of Matthew's, and then when he was in town, we had this really magical, mystical connection to how we hooked up with him. We met this friend of his in the IKEA, in line in the IKEA, and she told us he was in town and hooked us up with him. And
Awesome.
2 days later, you know, there was this press release of Danielle and I and Matthew together, and we were on the streets of downtown LA looping and having so much fun. I love that. I mean, he's just so amazing. And
Yeah, if anyone on the podcast listening doesn't know who Matthew Silver is, he came out with a video that went viral not long ago, right? And he was just being crazy basically on the side of the road. talking
Oh
about
yeah, that guy's awesome.
spreading love and being joyous, and it went
Wait,
viral, and people were like, "Yes, of course, that's all we should do is love," and it was a great video.
so
Yeah.
he's for real with that? I mean, is he like acting as a character, or is this really the way the guy is?
He was a character, I think, in that
So
one.
he's a very in-depth performance artist. He's like
Okay.
really amazing performance artist. Like he's definitely performing, and he brings in the way he feels and the way he is, and or even so much more that, or maybe better even better put the childlike being from within, and shares it in this very expressive and fun, wild, crazy way. That you know, that you could say it's his crazy side, or I don't want to say that it's not him, because
Right.
there's a huge element of that's the way he is. Just like when we went out and looped with him, or when we were out and doing some street type performance stuff, it's really more like improv art, like interactive art, play, a childlike play, and yeah, it's definitely a. If you saw him on the street in his regular clothes, he would look like Matthew Silver, but you might just pass you and like you might just smile at him and he might smile back.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen this video going around a lot for like a year at least.
Yeah, man, it was a super popular video. And,
That was, I think, 2 years now. The Whole Foods one.
The video? Well, it's just like him, just like
it's being interviewed by someone, right? And
yeah, he's just like this. It looks like he came out of a cave or something. He's seen the light or something, you know.
and
And he's like telling you how we all need to like just get together and like we need to just embrace the moment, you know. And he's like real motivational, you know. Like,
yeah, you're talking about it was like this Adult Swim show. It was called Hair, and he comes out and he starts and he like yeah, that's one of my favorite videos. I love that.
it's really motivational. It's like you can't even put your finger on it, like why it's motivational. It's just like you just kind of pick up on his vibe, and you're just like, yes,
totally. So he really is like that. Like,
nice.
not like when you meet him. Like my experience with being with him, like after hours from performing, it's like if you and I were here talking and we're hanging out like this. Like, yeah. But when am I performing and when am I not? Because I definitely look at myself as a life artist, and that's one real big way that I connect with Danielle. Like we both are like we're always like passionately about being alive, and even the experiences that feel painful, we go into them and we have a fun experience with it, and we look at it as this big play, like stage. The life is being as a stage, and we're always performing for ourselves and others.
Sure. We are.
Yeah, pretty much all the world is a stage.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking about that just today because, like, when it comes to election time, it just seems even more clear to me that, like, this is all just some kind of theatrical performance that's happening, whether we know it or not.
When you get in a conversation with someone, you're playing things that you've heard from other people most of the time. Like your personality is learned from others, and you're playing that out and showing some version of something of society. That's how it's made you. So you're performing whenever you talk to someone, just like I'm talking to you guys now.
Yeah, when you take psychedelics, you'll realize all that, but then you'll come down off of it, and you can't retain the. It's like you understand it still, but so what? It's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I feel like that's the everyone has a different process with assimilating all of that, and it might take moments, might like take a few, it might take years, but assimilating all of that and all of those downloads and all that information that spirit medicine, such as psychedelics and spirit, the things that open up ourselves beyond our physical awareness, that like we're getting so much information, like wherever it's coming from, that like we could have the download like that, or it could take us years to assimilate it and a bunch of experiences to really understand what we were showed or what we were guided towards. And we don't have to remember all of that. It is so powerful. We know it. We already have it. We are connected to it. And
You're talking about the Akashic Records, I believe.
Very well what I'm talking about. I mean, whatever name you want to give it. Like, I mean.
Yeah, the source field.
That would be the
source field. I like that. Yeah, you're right. If you give it a name, then it's like the Tao. It's like the Tao. What is it? It's like if you can name it, then it's not the true Tao. The Tao that can be named is not the true Tao.
Yeah.
And that's like the answer. And to me, and that's why our show is called Question the Answers, because to me the questions are actually more the answers than the answers. You know what I mean? The question is the answer.
It always is, because it always leads you to more truth and more awareness.
Yeah, and it depends on which, and as you get older and wiser, you get better at which questions you are asking.
Very true.
Yeah, the choice of which question is actually a very crucial juncture there.
I agree.
But then also you don't want to go asking too many questions.
Yeah.
Don't ask too many questions. You can't handle the truth.
Right.
Okay, so hey, what about JonBenet Ramsey might be Katy Perry?
I believe it.
It's been going around for a couple days on the internet. We need to talk about it.
I'm glad she's alive.
Yeah, exactly. Well, apparently, though, her tombstone is like right here in Marietta, Georgia. I'm going to go over there and look at it and take a picture of it.
Take a picture. Don't go without me.
Yeah. I'm going to go dig it up and see if there's a body in there.
I was hoping you weren't going to say dig it up.
But no, I'm going to do it.
Wasn't there a thing where...
No, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to be admitting to my crime on my podcast.
Find like a Chucky doll in there.
Somebody might. I wouldn't be surprised if it does get dug up, man. This thing's all over like the mainstream websites. Yeah. It's not like some underground conspiracy theory.
It'll probably be Katy Perry, some of her people that dig it up just to prove it.
It's interesting. I mean, they're saying basically that it was like a, I mean, have you ever studied this like Illuminati stuff? Did they say it's like always like some kind of ritual they have to act out or whatever? So she had to like act out her death to become famous or something like that is the way they're going with it. And of course, there's always pedophile rings involved,
It's all beautiful. Whatever way it happened.
I just love a wild. Now, how about reptilians? Have you ever heard about the reptilian shapeshifter theory? Or have you ever seen anybody that has appeared to shapeshift into like a reptilian form? Because I have seen that.
I've seen someone who I felt like they had reptilian eyes back in trance parties, and when I first was learning about reptilian.
Did you just say trance party?
Like raves, boy.
Oh man. Those things. Yeah, those are like open up like a consciousness vortex or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like Grateful Dead shows. That was my first consciousness vortex.
Oh, nice. I never saw The Dead, but I saw a lot of Fish.
Okay.
Widespread Panic.
I've seen them both.
Yep. Been there, done that, right?
Been there, done that.
How about Ween? You ever seen Ween?
No, I would like to see. I like Ween.
They're good. They just got back together.
They did. Wow.
Only Eon's a big Ween fan.
I'm a huge Ween fan. I think they're amazing, and they're up there with like the Beatles.
They're good. They really are that. They're amazing.
They are that good, I think. Now Dookie Royale doesn't think the Beatles are that good, so.
No,
he's not a Beatles fan.
My Beatles is Paul Oakenfold.
That's okay.
But see, I'm more of a house fan than a trance fan.
Yeah. Me too.
Personally, I can't get enough house music in my life. But not like. But there's like that trancey house that I'm not into so much. I like just like the straight up, like French house, I guess would be the. Yeah, just like I like disco music is what it gets down to. I'm a freaking fan of disco. I mean, keep the freaking funky bass and the jiggy little guitar. Just keep it going all night long. Like, what's the no problem there.
You like Uptown Funk.
You like disco and
Disco and disc golf. Yeah, all day. You're right. Actually, it's weird. Me and Dookie Royale were discussing that the other day. Like, all of our passions are like really weird, obscure things to most quote unquote normal people.
Yep.
You know, because we're like
Yeah,
so bored with like normal society. So boring. We dig into these just obscure like topics, and that's a lot of our episodes are just these weird. Well, no, not weird. It's weird to most people. Just obscure things that we try to like share, try to release them into the society.
Yeah, your thing right now, Eon, is flat Earth, and mine is near-death experiences.
Yes.
Dude,
So the last,
I swear when you said normal, your voice went normal.
Normal.
Like some like delay or something that like totally like.
no, you can't repeat it. You can't repeat it.
I couldn't be normal if I tried, to be honest with you.
Thanks.
But I wouldn't want to be normal. Normal's terrible. But like you said, it's all part of the grand path and swirling wheel of samsara.
I mean, what else? How can I don't know. I mean, if I think of any other way for me, I feel like I'll just go crazy. If I don't just like have that feeling of that everything is in this perfect like divine order, and I try if I try to figure it out everything, I'm always into that same like place of like I'm gonna for one I'm gonna disprove every theory I come up with, or I'm gonna disprove everything. Everything can be like proven and disproven, so it's like I just feel like why don't just do what feels good to me and experience it that way, and I can influence others to do the same and have more to play with in that way. And other than that, like let everyone do what else they're doing and similar, it's a different version of the same thing. So
yeah, I try to have faith that there is just a plan in place and everything is all good.
You know, scientists would believe that it's all it's a random order of materials that make
Yes, Dookie Royale, but those same people tell you that we live on a sphere. So I don't know, where you're getting your information around these parts.
It's true.
That was a good one.
I have been in those forums too long. Hey, so what are your favorite musicians, or what are you into right now, Chef BeLive?
I have such a huge wide array of like music loves. I started singing at a young age and playing instruments myself. I play guitar and saxophone, and
nice.
Right now, gosh, I really have to give a shout out to my homegirl Tracy Ray Clark. She's like an incredible songwriter, performer. I hadn't heard her stuff in years, and she just sent me a CD, and she's one of my favorite. Like I would say that I've studied music in a lot of ways. I've produced it. I've been involved. I owned a 1,800-person live music venue, so I feel like I have a pretty great feeling for music and like kind of what people love as well. And she's amazing. But I love everything from like bluegrass to hip hop to classical to
anything that's good, right?
Anything that's good. Yeah, I found something of every genre that I like. And
do you like Spotify?
Spotify? Oh, I've barely gotten into it. I want to get more.
I love it, man. It's so good.
So, hey, I want to ask you a question.
What's up?
Did you guys see? Did you see Bill Maher recently?
No, but I keep having people ask me if I've seen Bill Maher recently.
So he did this. This is one of the recent episodes, and he basically went really into cannabis and medical marijuana, and from like the different aspects, started talking about the laws around it and whatnot. And so one of my friends said that he got fined by the network, by HBO, but that wasn't. Then I found out that wasn't true. But as part of it, he like just straight up like pulled out his and like as a statement made.
Yeah, he smoked a doobie right there on him and one or two of the guests sat there and just smoked a doobie, right?
Yeah, so this is like I'm gonna do the same thing you're doing with your beer.
That's
Right
cool.
there, right?
Okay, there you go. Hey, let's fight prohibition. Let's express our liberties as free human beings on either a flat plane inside of a dome or on a spinning sphere in a cosmic
So I mean, there's reasons
orbital
around that.
reality.
Like you can smoke a joint on TV, but they can't prove that you actually had weed in that joint.
Yeah, no, you're right. If you're on video doing smoking weed, you can't get arrested.
Like
It
for
can't be
instance,
proven.
when I was a kid, I was on probation, and they wouldn't let you smoke weed or anything. But I went to one of my probation hearings, and the guy was like, "Have you smoked weed?" And I sat there silent for a minute. He goes, "Come on, tell me, did you smoke weed?" I go, "Oh, okay, I did." But then when they did the test, it didn't show up, so I didn't get in trouble. So
Nice.
I could tell them that I smoked weed, but unless they have
Yeah.
they can't do anything. So
Yeah, see, I know laws, and it works really good when you with the oregano, you know.
yeah, sure.
Oh, of course. Sure.
Joe Rogan
Yeah,
smokes on his podcast all the time on video.
I mean, and realistically, in California, in Southern California, the cops aren't really concerned if you're smoking weed. I mean, seriously, like I saw people just smoking weed like on the street corner, like in broad daylight, like all the time. It was just no big deal. Even here in Georgia, if you're just in your house doing it and you're not out and about and you're not, like they are not concerned about that either. If you're a freaking basically if you're a good taxpayer that's not out causing problems, then you're okay. Is basically especially if you're white. That's another plus in the South.
in
So
Georgia.
being that I am a white male who pays taxes, they're not too wrapped up about what I'm doing in my personal life. Now, my employer may have different opinions, but that's their right as a private business. So
Yeah.
I could choose to work for them or not. That's how it works in
Very
a free
true.
market economy. Now, some people have different ideas about how our economy should operate, but
They shouldn't.
that's for a different podcast.
Companies shouldn't be allowed to regulate what you do on your private time.
That's for the debates, which really it's not for the debates. No.
Yeah. Now we got a big voting day coming up tomorrow in some of the states, in the Super Tuesday states. So a lot of people think about who they're going to vote for tomorrow, and this is a weird year because it's like I think I might vote Bernie just to screw over Hillary.
I think I'm gonna vote this year and vote for Bernie just for the fun of it. I mean, I like his
just
vibe.
do it, right?
Yeah,
Well,
Bernie.
because like that information that he shares has never really been shared on that level with the masses. So it's just that in itself is, I feel like it's clear.
It got some good media attention.
Yeah, we're changing things a little bit differently.
I got my Bernie sticker on the back of my car.
Oh, do you?
I do. Bright blue.
I like that where somebody took Bernie and like mixed him with Burning Man.
Yeah, that was
It
awesome.
was like Bernie at Burning Man. Now, have you ever, Chef? Have you ever been to Burning Man?
I have not been to Burning Man. My children's mother, my good friend Whitney, she's been going for a long time.
Yeah.
And even my son and my daughter have went. My son's went like 4 times. My daughter's went twice. But I've never.
Wow.
I've always been like doing something else, having some other fun that I didn't. It took me away from. I've almost had a ticket. I've had a ticket twice, but I haven't been yet still.
How about have you ever been to the Joshua Tree National Forest?
Oh yeah, I've been there quite a few times. I live like I was born and raised pretty close to there.
So, are you familiar with Slab City?
Slabs. Oh, you know what? I am familiar with it, but basically because of Matthew and Special Head, this other performer that he's been performing with across the country. They're straight from downtown LA. They left us, hanging out with us, to go to Slab City, and they told us about it. So I'd heard about it, but I hadn't really like.
So you've heard about the big mountain of God's love there, then, haven't you?
Yeah, I've heard about all kinds of stuff they're doing there. And
Salvation Mountain. Yeah.
But I haven't, like I said, I haven't heard a lot about it. I just heard like a little bit from them. So,
Sure.
And some friends asked if I've been there, but I hadn't been there.
You should go check it out if you get the chance, man.
I think you're a confirmation, and I'm gonna let Danielle know that like we mentioned this on the podcast because we literally we almost went there the next day, the 2 days after, with Matthew and Special Head, and someone else mentioned it afterwards, and you're the third person I think within the last month. So
you can check out episode number 8. Episode number 18 of Q the A podcast is about Salvation Mountain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did an entire episode. Check it out.
Which number is it again?
18.
18. Okay.
Yeah, Salvation Mountain, but it's really Leonard Knight. He's this guy. He's like Yoda or something.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sending
got,
you.
I got a big picture of him up on my wall over here, right next to L. Ron Hubbard.
I knew I'd love you.
Yeah, just I joined a podcast today where these people have infiltrated Scientology, and they created a podcast on it.
Yes, I haven't even listened to that yet. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, that'd be cool. Is there so Chef BeLive, you have a few a website, a blog, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. What are the addresses for you?
My website is chefbelive.com. The way I spell it is CHEF, like a chef, BeLive, BELIVE, so the word be and live.
Right.
Chefbelive.com, that's my website. I have a YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/chefbelive light, L-I-G-H-T. And I have a book that I co-wrote with a friend of mine. I did all the recipes for the book. It's a story about my friend and his wife and how they went raw and really their whole journey and the complications to it. Just the whole the path of it.
Yeah.
And along the way, they decided they wanted to write a book, which they started doing, and they wanted to share recipes. So they started researching and trying to find recipes, and went through all kinds of books, all kinds of recipes online, and could find very few good recipes. And a mutual friend of ours introduced us, and I made them like a 4 or 5 course meal, and they were blown away. They're like, "We're doing this book." They share the project with me, and they're like, "We want to co-write it with you, and we want you to do all the recipes and to create a meal plan at the back if someone wants to do it for 3 days or for up to 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So all the recipes go with these instructions, and it makes it easy and whatnot. But I have this book called Going Gone Raw that I wrote with my 2 friends, and I've been really liking giving it away. At this point, I'm trying to give it to as many people as possible in ebook version. And so that is an invitation to anyone that's listening or watching that wants to write down my email address. And this is my business email address that they can call and email reminding that they would like a free complimentary version of my book, and I'll make sure that it's sent to them in ebook version. So my email address is BeLive, same spelling, BELIVE, Inc., like incorporated, like INC, at gmail.com. So just email me and request, and I would love to send you a copy of the book. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of it. Just if you contact me anytime, I love to share all my gifts in any way that I can. So I appreciate it.
Man, we're really glad that you joined us on this podcast today. We had a really fun time, and we're gonna most likely have you back on just an unrelated show. We'll just talk to you.
Yeah, man, you guys are awesome. I love you. What you're sharing, the way you're sharing it, any way that I can support it. If this is going to be available off air, not live, and be able to be streamed, I'd love to share it with all the different friends and fans across the globe and universe.
It will be. Yeah.
And I just thank all of your listeners and everyone out, or viewers, I guess. And you guys both, you're awesome.
Thanks, you too, man. Thanks for taking your time to be on the show.
Yeah, we'll have a version of video here on YouTube, and we'll also have an audio version on QDA podcast at libsyn.com.
Yeah, you can find this Q the A podcast. You can look at us on Stitcher, on the Android app, or iTunes, of course. If you do Q the A, Apple decides that you spelled it wrong and you meant to do Q and A, so you have to sift through the Q and A's before you find what you actually typed in, which was Q the A. That's Q the A for questions. Question the answers.
Freaking iTunes.
Q the A. Yeah, freaking iTunes, but we're usually like in the top 10 or 15. And then, of course, we got Facebook.com/Q the A podcast. We got Q the A podcast at gmail.com and Q the A podcast it's at Q the A podcast on. I've heard people say that their Twitter, so I don't know where they get that, but we'll say that too. That their Twitter.
All right. Anything in closing?
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here with you, being able to share, and it was so much fun. Authentically, I really just enjoy sharing my feeling and vibration, whether it come through food or whether it come through different arts like music or film or TV and stuff. I just am grateful to be given a platform to do it, and thank you guys for providing that.
Hey, you're welcome, man.
I'm sure everyone is just as appreciative as I am, all the listeners and guests as well. So
you're talking to 2 art school graduates. We like to spread our art as well.
That's right.
Atlanta's getting a big film scene, so if you ever end up in Atlanta,
That's right.
Hit us up, man.
Danielle's dad lives in Atlanta, and we come to Atlanta since we've been together for the last 3 years. We've came at least a few times. And so we'll be back in Atlanta, so I very well may take you up on that.
I know all the raw spots. All right, thanks again, Chef BeLive. Appreciate it.
You guys have a great night.
Yeah,
you too, Chef BeLive. Thank you, sir.
Woo! Guys, this is the signs of oregano.